You are now listening to the voice of horror. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on a Sunday evening, and guys, we are going to be talking about our top 5 zombie movies of all time. And this is going to be a conversation, man. Coriander's with me and Killian, of course. Guys, what do you think about zombie movies? Kill, I'll start with you just as a quick take, and then we'll get into our list.
I love zombie flicks. I love the diversity that zombie flicks bring, whether it's
That's a good point.
different people, different backgrounds, different countries,
Mhm.
and also different genres of zombie movie and so forth. So yeah, let's get
That's a
it.
good point. That's a good point. Coriander, how about you? When we talk about zombies as a subgenre, what are your overall thoughts?
I mean, zombies are fun. They eat people. You get to see them, uh, it's just, half rotted walking around. It's entertainment and it's a genre that, yeah, I like.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. To me, when we think about zombie movies, I think this is a subgenre, and I've spoken about this before, but I think it's a subgenre that it's it's a good subgenre in the sense that you can get so much out of it. You can get, like you said, Coriander, you can get the gore, which means that if done right, you can get great
And the
effects.
comedy, right?
Well, yeah, you can get good
Yeah,
comedy too, but
you
I was gonna
can.
say, you can get good practical effects, but you can also
You
get
can.
great stories with characters that are dealing with something that in real life would be just really, really tragic. So I guess what I'm saying is a lot of these films, not just on our list, but you have really great characters. Um, and the actors can have a lot of things that they can work with in these films. So it's a really cool subgenre, and it's really one of the subgenres for me. Like when I think of it, it actually is scary because it can be truly just a numbers game at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
like how long can you survive? And then in some cases, if you can survive for a long time, but it's only you and maybe another person or a couple people, is like, well, what happens now? There's no civilization, there's nothing left, right? it's
You
pretty
live.
it's
You live
pretty
off the
dire.
land,
Well,
just like back in the day.
okay, well, I'm saying for me, man, I'm just saying it makes it pretty dire, but we'll get into
Yeah.
that anyways. But for you guys in the live chat, welcome, Blanket, hello. Let's just see who we have here. We got Russell. What's going on, Russell? Good to see you.
Hey,
um Revan's in the chat saying, boy, what's up, what's up? Ronan. Ronan is in the chat. What's going on? And Ronan, I did get your email, bro. So you're all set. And he's saying, love my zombie films. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. All right. So you guys know how this is going to go. We're going to do this round robin style. Kill, we're going to have you go first with your number 5, and then Coriander, and then it will be me. All right. So we've got our number 5 situated. So, Kill, let's start this thing off.
okay. So first off, I just want to say this was hard because
Mm,
we only had 5 slots, and guys, these aren't the best ever. These are our favorite, our personal best.
good point.
So there are plenty that did not make the list, unfortunately. But for
Right?
me, I like comedy. I like British movies, and when you mix that with zombies, my number 5 is Shaun of the Dead.
Uh-huh.
And so
Nice.
look, guys. uh, when you mix a great cast with great comedy, great action, and then surprisingly a good amount of gore,
Mm-hmm.
That's a win-win for me. This movie kind of just came out of nowhere for me, and ever since I initially saw it, it's one of those movies that I watch probably once a year, maybe twice a year,
Mm-hmm.
because it is just such a mishmash of comedy, action, and zombie gore that it's just a fun ride with characters that I love to revisit. If for some reason you guys have never seen Shaun of the Dead, or you're like, oh, I don't want to give that a chance, it's a comedy. Take my advice. Check it out. Simon Pegg and the Bunch. It's a masterpiece for me, and I love it. And I knew it had to be on my list, so I'm just like, oh,
I knew you were gonna put it on your list too, man. As soon as we started doing this, I said I know he's gonna put and not to say that it's not a great movie, but just knowing you, this truly is one of your favorites, man. Because
yeah,
you've talked about this for years. Whenever we talk about zombie movies.
yep.
Yep.
So, yep, that's my number
All right,
five.
all
Nice.
right, very very cool. All right, so Coriander, what do we have for your number five?
So I have Planet Terror. And
All
I just have
right,
to say, yeah, Rose McGowan, she was such a badass in this movie. Obviously, look at her, and it's always something, whether it's a bioweapon or, chemicals in a barrel that create these zombies that you gotta
right,
destroy. It's a
right.
fun movie, explosive packed. Yeah, it's a great zombie flick.
It is, man.
Definitely.
It had so many great things in it. I remember
Yep.
when it came out, Kill, you remember we talked about this a lot and just just how freaking crazy this movie is, like in a good way.
Yeah.
It's a fun
Creative.
time,
Yeah,
very
man.
creative,
Yep.
and it's such an homage to the old school films. Again, when you're dealing with Robert Rodriguez and Quentin, you're usually in for
Yeah.
something that's entertaining one way or the other.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
Very
good
true.
choice, good choice. We got Dan's in the chat. What's going on, Dan? Good to see you. Hope you're doing
Hey,
well.
Hey.
Denisha's in the chat. What's going on? Good to see
hello.
you.
Hey.
Uh, Mwamba's in the chat saying love Planet Terror, Dawn of the Dead, and even the first Resident Evil movie. And Kay also
Yeah.
talking about Resident
Nice.
Evil. And let me just say, because Kill knows where I'm going to
Nice.
go, let me take this opportunity to give a shout out to Resident Evil. One of my, and I don't want to use the word guilty pleasures, but it's just a franchise that I've followed and had a lot of fun with. So many of those movies. So that's definitely like an honorable mention for me, and just in general, just Resident Evil, and yeah, it's a fun franchise. I remember when I first saw the first one, I was just like, wow, this is pretty cool, man. But anyways, um, for me, my number five, this was actually very challenging because all five of my movies, except for my number one, all five of all the other movies, I should say, they really could be interchanged as far as, what number it falls under, because I enjoy all of these movies so much. But when push comes to shove, we got to make a decision. So at number five, I have Return of the Living Dead.
Nice.
And, for me, this movie, um, again, it's just a fun 80s, I think this was 1985 it came out. It's a fun 80s zombie film, and it had some really memorable scenes, and it cracks me up. It makes me laugh. Um Same type of thing as always. You got zombies running around, but this was really the first time that you get a sense of, number one, that they eat brains, and they do it because of the pain that they feel from being dead. So the brains actually stops the pain or lessens the pain. So there was a lot of cool things that this movie brought about. Some great practical effects, great characters, you name it, this movie has it. And as far as being like from the 80s, you get that full vibe. It's campy, it's got great music, soundtrack, it's rocking. So anyways, there was no way that I could do this without putting Return of the Living Dead on my list. So that is at my number five spot. All right. Real quick before we go to number four, Kill. Unstable's in the chat saying I love 28 Days Later. It's one of the best zombie movies I've ever seen. All right.
Mm,
Here you
it's
go.
a good one.
Dan saying interesting. I wouldn't have thought of Planet Terra. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Ty saying, could never get into zombie or home invasion movies. 28 Days Later and Night of the Living Dead with Tony Todd. Like, well, 28 Days Later and Night of the Living Dead are some really good examples of zombie movies. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Some good stuff though. Good stuff. And good characters, especially when you're talking about horror, some really good characters in a lot of these movies. So, all right, Kill. What are we gonna do for your number 4?
Okay, so my number 4 is a newer entry into zombie flicks, but it's one that has just kind of put its claws in me or sunk its teeth in me, ah,
Ha ha ha
and
ha
has
ha
not
ha.
has not let go. My number 4 is Train to Busan,
Hmm,
All
and
right.
the thing that's so interesting about Train to Busan is,
I haven't seen that.
oh, you need to see it because this
Yeah.
movie has not only created sort of a semi sequel in a movie called Peninsula, it also
Mhm.
spawned a cartoon kind of sequel or going on at the same exact time called Soul Station. And it's such an interesting take on the zombie kind of narrative. Um, like the name, it does take most of it takes place on a train, a super crowded train, and it's a
Mhm.
Korean film. And our main character they were following, he's kind of a piece of crap. He really is. He's kind of a coward. He's not the nicest guy, but there is a character arc there. I don't want to give too much away, but the gore in this movie
Ooh,
Mhm.
is top notch. I
really?
Yeah, it's really visceral. It's in
Well,
your
you piqued
face.
my interest now.
Yeah, hey. Now, Knight, have you seen you've seen Train to
I've
Busan?
seen I've seen yeah, I've seen it, but you know what though? I gotta rewatch it, man, because when I was watching it, it kept cutting out and stuff. So it's like I
Oh,
was
okay.
skipping through parts. So
Okay.
and I
Oh,
actually
that
I
sucks.
think I think the last time we talked about it, I was like saying, "Oh, I gotta show this to Coriander, and maybe we
Hmm.
can actually do a stream on it or an episode on it or something, you know?"
Yeah, it's definitely quality, and I hope, if the creators are listening, please make a proper sequel. because because this is
Aw.
definitely a very interesting take on the zombie genre, and
Right.
it's really good. It's really good. Check it out.
All right. Very, very cool, man. Um, and let's see. Kay was saying the girl with all the gifts. Okay, and
Ooh,
I
that's
haven't seen
good.
that yet, but I've heard it's good though.
That's a very
Yeah,
interesting take on zombie films as well.
yeah, yep. Let's see, let's see. Devious is in the chat. What's going on? Saying hey. Life is Forever is in the chat, saying I'm a tad late, but I've
Oh,
arrived. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Good to see you. And if you guys haven't hit the like button, please do. It helps out to support the channel, and we'd appreciate it. All right. So, Coriander, let's move on to your number 4 on this list.
okay. So I have on my list City of the Living Dead. And this one,
Ooh.
yeah, you have Christopher George, and which I love. I'm a fan of his. And
Mm-hmm.
he plays a reporter who works with a psychic who they need to like get to the gates of hell and close them because this priest who, well, I don't want to give too much away because
Right. Yeah.
if people haven't seen it. But anyway, they got to close the gates. And
Mm-hmm.
in order to do that, that's how they're going to stop the dead from rising. So it's a
Mm.
great movie. The gore is good. Um, yeah, it's fun. And yeah, it's a good movie.
All right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Some Fulci in here, man.
Yes.
Very, very
Yes.
cool. And let me just also say when you said city, I was like, yeah, that's a great choice, man. And the fact when we talk about zombie movies, you know, in horror, there's certain names that should come to your mind, and we'll get to one of them, I'm pretty sure, on these lists. But Fulci definitely is one of those. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a great call, man. And one of the trilogy, the Gates of Hell trilogy, man. That's awesome. Which we did talk about on the channel. So
We
if you haven't checked
did.
out that, check that out. That
Yes.
was a
Yep.
while back, like a year
It
and a half
was.
ago. Yeah. Dan also agreeing with that. Another good one, Coriander. I keep rearranging my
Thank
list,
you.
right? I know it's tough. It's tough. What's up, JJ? Saying love Christopher George. We do too. We
Yeah.
do too.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And let us know some more of the ones that you guys would pick
Yeah.
for your list, because it's definitely an interesting one.
It
Okay,
is.
so for me, this was kind of one of those movies again that I had to put on the list. It's a movie that I enjoy so much, and it just never gets old. We've talked about it a little bit on the channel, but we've done it when we've had two very special guests very recently on the channel. And of course, I'm talking about Night of the Comet. And look, this movie is just I just love this movie so much. It is
Yeah.
so entertaining. It's
Mhm.
80s, it's campy, it's cheesy, but you have two leads who are absolutely great, and they're great characters in this movie. But we've come to find out that they're actually great human beings, because we had the privilege and honor to
Yes.
interview not only the great Kelly Maroney just last week, but also
Yep.
Catherine Mary Stewart, and they're absolutely
Yep.
fantastic. And
Yes.
if you have not, and I know Kill, you haven't seen Night of the Comet, but
Oh,
seriously,
you
man,
should check it out. Yeah.
it is it is just an entertaining movie. It really,
Yes, it's an
really is.
80s movie, It's one of
Mhm.
those 80s movies that you guys, if you haven't seen it, and if you love 80s movies, you got to check it
Yes.
out.
Yes, yes. So I had to have Night of the Comet on my list, and
Nice.
it's so
Good
much fun.
pick.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, shout out to Kelly Maroney
Yep.
and also Catherine Mary Stewart, who've been they've been so kind as well, because
Yeah.
they were gracious enough to be special guests and let us talk to them and interview them. And on their social medias and stuff, they've been very gracious, to the Nightwatch Zone, and very friendly. And it's like, wow, man, you get a chance to talk to people that you've been a fan of since you were a kid. That's pretty
It-
amazing. So
That is so cool.
Mhm.
yes, yes. Before we go to number three here, Kill, Ty was saying, is I Am Legend a zombie movie? I would say yes.
Yeah.
But see, now we thought it was a vampire film.
Oh,
Well, it's good. It's a good point. I mean, being that they are kind of reanimated. So you're going with vampire.
Well, I just remember I think wow, I think it was a few weeks ago, and
Yeah,
and
when
I brought
you had
that up
mentioned
like
it.
technically it's a vampire film, but I guess it could go either way.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of could. It's close. It's one of those that blur the lines, and sometimes some movies will do that, because like if you look at something like and we were just talking about this the other night, Coriander, like if you look at something
yeah.
like Amityville,
Yeah.
is
Possession.
Amityville a
Hmm.
possession movie, or is it a haunted house movie? Well, it's
Hmm.
kind of both.
Both,
You know what I mean?
right?
So some movies do blur the lines. Um, but yeah, you're right, Kill. Maybe I would, well, dang, that's tough, man. But yeah, I probably would lean more to vampire for I Am Legend. Probably. It's a tough one. Tough call. Tough call. Heath's in the chat saying Burying the X is a guilty pleasure movie, really cheesy and fun. Okay. All right. I haven't seen that one. Um, Jason's in the chat. What's going on? Welcome, welcome. Um, yep, Kay's talking about The Last Man on Earth and The Omega Man, starring the great Charlton Heston. We love that movie.
Mhm.
A very, very
Hmm.
cool version of that story. Okay, so we're gonna head to our number three kill. So what do we got for you?
So this is when it really started to get hot on my list here because these three were definitely going to be in the top three, but
Yeah.
two of the slots I was just like this could easily change. My number two and my number three could easily change, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, my number three is the 2004 version of Dawn of the Dead. Now look,
All right.
no disrespect to the OG, bend the knee for the OG, but this version, the Zack Snyder version, it just hit at the perfect time. Now, I mean, this hit before all the the Walking Dead shows. There's 50 million different versions of the Walking Dead show now.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
it 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 hit before so much of that frenzy of zombiness that came, which
Right.
that's good to have. But this one was visceral. It was gritty. It was downright ugly and gory, and the zombies were intense and fast.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
they were intense and fast. So Zach really, people can say what they want about Zack Snyder, and I've probably said the same about him. But this
Mm-hmm.
movie right here, he put his heart and soul in here because he knew, if I'm going to tackle this, with the pedigree of what this is coming from for, I better do a damn good job. And he did.
Mm.
And I've said this before, on a previous episode that we talked about, I guess I was talking about Dawn of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Polly in this movie has one of the most realistic falls into a bathtub that to this day, it's
Always
the
talking
most.
about.
I've said this normally. Yeah, exactly. Sarah Polly was great in it. When
Yes.
at the beginning of the movie, when all shit is breaking loose, her
Mm-hmm.
husband turns and she backs away so hard from him and into the bathroom, and she slams her head into the
Mm-hmm.
tub. it, to this day, Sarah, I hope you're feeling okay, because that was real. That looked totally real. And but this movie is great. The cast was just on point. Ving Rhames, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Mekhi Phifer, just a lot of great talent was in this movie. And
Yeah.
if for some reason, guys, you have not seen this movie in a while, definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great remake, and still, no disrespect to the OG, but this one definitely is on my list.
All right. All right. Very, very cool. Yeah, that opening scene, that first whatever it is, 13 minutes of the movie is still just absolutely fantastic, man.
Yes.
Like I couldn't believe when I saw it in the theater, I couldn't believe the amount of tension and atmosphere in that. And bravo to Zach, because he did a heck of a job. It was a tall order, but he truly did a heck of a job with his Dawn of the Dead. No doubt about that.
Hmm.
No doubt at all. All right. Coriander, what is going to be your number 3?
So I have Army of Darkness. I'm an
There it
Ash
is.
fan, and this is like probably one of the funnest ones. As y'all know, if you don't know, he gets transported to 1300 AD. He needs to get the Necronomicon, and he's gonna battle an army of the dead. So yeah, his car even gets pulled through with him,
Right.
and it's a fun, like I said, it's just one of the fun ones, and yeah, I enjoy this one a lot. So this had to be on my list.
Hmm.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's a crazy entry. It is a lot of fun, and I remember back in the day, watching it a lot more. I actually haven't seen it in a handful of years. I got to revisit it at some point, but
Yeah,
it definitely solidified Ash just as that horror icon, and of course Bruce Campbell,
yeah. I mean, look at
just
him.
yeah,
It's
just
like
a
he's
living
on one of
legend.
those, yeah, it's like he's on one of those smut books, right? That your mother would read, have next to her nightstand, on her bed, next to her, on her nightstand.
Right,
There we
right.
go.
All right. And JJ was saying groovy. Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Right, right. We got Val's in the chat. Val made it. What's
Hey,
going
Val.
on? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So, again, this and it kind of what Kill was saying too. This is where it really did get very difficult for me because and I'm gonna I'll divulge something as we get further along, but this is really, really tough, man, because I could have made this list with just a couple of certain filmmakers, but I didn't want to do that. And Kill, you know what I'm saying. You already know what I'm
Yep.
saying. And it could have started right here at number 3. My top 3 could have came from one filmmaker, but I didn't want to do that. I did want to have variety. But all seriousness though, and that just shows not only the strength of those films, but it's so many great zombie films as well. But for number three, I thought to myself, I'm gonna go into a movie that is bonkers crazy, tons of gore, absolutely. I don't know what the hell is going on. So let's go with for number three. I've got The Beyond, and once again,
Nice.
heading down
Good for you. Yes, you
Fulci
are.
Boulevard, and credit to Coriander. When we talked about the Gates of Hell trilogy, and our good friend Gorphobe that joined us on a couple of
Yes.
those episodes,
Yep.
man, this movie
Those were
is
good episodes too, let
effed
me just
up.
say.
They were good
Yeah.
episodes because for me and also I think for you too, Kill, we were a lot newer to these films than you were, Coriander. But I'm gonna tell you what,
Yep.
man. As soon as we watched those movies, and I know I had seen I think two of the three when I was younger, but just didn't remember it. I'm gonna tell you what, man. They
It changed your
automatically
life.
yeah,
No.
they automatically went to the top of my list as far as a steady rotation of movies, whether you're talking about City of the Living Dead, like you mentioned, Coriander, House by the Cemetery, which was fantastic as
Yep.
well, or this movie, The Beyond. Man, there was stuff going on in these movies that is just what? But great stuff. Very artistic, creative,
Yes.
imaginative, beautiful, gory and beautiful. So, anyways, I won't keep saying
Mhm.
it, but for any of you guys, and I know there's a bunch of people right now that are watching, and a lot of people that are going to be watching this replay that have not seen the Lucio Fulci Gates of Hell trilogy, you should
Watch 'em.
check them out. You
Yes.
really, really should. So that's all I'm
Yep.
gonna say, man. It's great
Hmm.
stuff. Um, Jamie's in the chat. What's going on, Jamie? Good to see you.
Hey.
Hello.
And Mac's in the chat. What's up, Mac? Good to see you,
Hey.
man. Good to see you. Life is Forever saying loves the end credit songs for the Dawn remake. Yeah, yeah, it was good. It was
Hmm.
good, man. So,
Yes.
anyways, my number three is we're back in Fulci land, so the Beyond gets my number three.
Good
All
for
right,
you.
right? Yeah. I mean, when I saw that you put City of the Living Dead, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I put the Beyond. We're all right. Okay, Kill, we're down to the last two, bro. What do you have in your number two spot, man?
Okay, so for me, I'm going back to Great Britain, guys. Okay, my number two is 28 Days Later.
Nice.
All right.
So look, whether you call them zombies or infected with rage, this
Right.
is a zombie film. I don't care. Um, look, Cillian Murphy is amazing in this movie. The
Yes.
cinematography of this movie is just top notch. The score, the
Yeah.
feeling, the just the loneliness of seeing London totally abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's insane. And the fact that they were able to put so much humanity into this
Mm-hmm.
movie, because like any good zombie flick, you know, the humans a lot of the time are scarier
Mm-hmm.
than the zombie infection, than the
Yes.
horde.
Yes.
And this movie literally breaks off into two separate movies, sort of at a little bit after the midway point. And
Mm-hmm.
it's literally just a masterpiece. And I hope they finally do 28 months later. Please. I think I pleaded this a few podcasts ago, maybe
Mm-hmm.
like a month or so ago. It needs to happen because there's a lot of story that can be told from this universe. And guys, if for
Mm-hmm.
some reason you have not seen 28 Days Later and it slipped by, definitely
Mm-hmm.
check it out. And once you check that one out, check out 28 Weeks Later. They
Our
are a
boy
great, exactly.
Robert Carlyle,
Robert
boy.
Carlyle, man, Jeremy Renner, Idris
Yes.
Alba, all those guys. Uh, it's just a great British zombie masterpiece. So
Yes.
check it out.
Yeah. And by the way, if you haven't, and I'm sure some of you guys haven't, but check out our episode of 28 Days Later because we had a blast talking about this movie, all the ins and outs, the behind the scenes, and everything with it. So definitely check out our episode where we reviewed and discussed 28 Days Later. It's a great choice, man. It's a
Mhm.
great film. and
Mhm.
I knew it was going to be high on your list. There was no
Yeah.
doubt in my mind, man. I knew it, and
Yep.
rightly so. Rightly so. All
Hmm.
right, Coriander, here we go.
Yeah.
Top two. What's your number two?
Okay, so this is like one of my favorite ones, like ever. It makes me laugh so much. And you mentioned it earlier, Night. It is Return of the Living Dead.
All
I
right.
mean, yeah, it's like you said, it's cheesy 80s, great cast.
Hmm.
And like I kind of mentioned earlier in the beginning, the freaking government, leaving their shit around when they should have collected it. And people get nosy and
Right.
do shit that, create these living dead. So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, you really need to check it out because it'll make you laugh, you get the
Hmm.
gore, and it's yeah, it's a great movie.
Agreed. Totally agree. It's so much fun, man. This is like
Yeah,
again kind of the epitome of the 80s. If you listen,
yeah.
if you are having an off day or off night and you need some horror movies that'll be fun to watch and you'll enjoy and also to kind of as a pick me up and you're an 80s fan,
Mhm.
Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Comet as a great double feature. It really, really is.
Yep.
Dan saying brains. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Uh, Jamie saying
Oh,
Return of the Living Dead is so fun. Send more cops.
yes.
Right?
And more cops.
That's right.
Hmm.
Max saying, Kill, you had a great choice. Yep.
Thank
And
you.
also saying, I always low key thought there were zombies in Carnival of Souls. Yeah, Carnival of Souls, man. Shout out the Carnival of Souls. We might kind of piggyback on that coming up, but it's definitely a good movie, no doubt at all. Curse of Thorn coming in with there it is, thinking that Dawn should be forever and always number one. There you go. Gotcha.
Yeah.
The net's in the chat. What's going on, the net? Saying great choice, Coriander. Yeah.
Thanks.
Let's see. Let's see. Dan saying another movie my dad liked unexpectedly. All right. Very, very cool.
Nice.
Very cool. Okay. So Kill, let's just get down. Before we do your number one, I'm gonna come in and kind of reiterate something that you said. But my number two, it's a movie that we've talked a lot about. It's a movie that kind of changed things and really I think it really did inject, a lot of adrenaline into the subgenre. But let's just get this thing out of the way, man. You knew I had to have this on my list. I'm talking about 28 Days Later. Um, they're zombies. They're zombies. Let's just
Yeah.
call it what it is. But Kill said it best. This is a movie that was just, and even to this day, man, it really is. It just takes you to a different place, man. Just the way that it's shot, the cinematography, the music, the score in the movie, great actors and so forth. But you're right, man. They got to work on 28 months, man. And the thing about it is that the script is already written. And Danny Boyle has basically said, yeah, I think I want to do, 28 months later, we should do that. Now's the time to do it. He was talking about that late last year. It's just like, bro, you guys got to do it. He said the script is done. Alex Garland, wrote the script, and we like Alex Garland, whether you're
Hmm.
talking about, oh God, Ex Machina,
Annihilation.
Annihilation, Men, so very interesting movies for sure. But Danny Boyle said that the script is very interesting. So it's kind of like, okay, what are they gonna do? So I hope they do it, man. But 28 Days started it off, and it's a fantastic movie for anyone who has not seen it, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, you should definitely check it out. You really, really should. It's
Hmm.
a great film. Great film. All right. So here we go, man. Let's just get to number one. Let's get this thing out of the way. This is really, really interesting. Kill, I'll let you start it off, man. What is your number one zombie film of all time?
Okay, look, there's no lying here. All right. This was light work for me. This was easy. Look, I'm a simple man, like simple pleasures. So for me, I want that OG. I want that Night of the Living Dead.
There it is.
That's what I want. I want our protagonists to survive all of that stuff all night long just to get shot in the head in the morning. That's that's what I want. No, seriously, I mean, George Romero, my hat is off. You know what it is.
Mhm,
Um, that original black and white masterpiece, you know, it's funny.
mhm.
It has a moral compass
Yes.
in more than one way. It's scary, and it does so much with so little.
Right. Right.
I mean, yes, it is not the goriest film, but
Mhm,
it will scare the living daylights out of you because of
mhm,
all that goes on in it and the premise of it and the fear from what's outside of the house and from what is inside the house.
mhm,
This is the epitome of a great bottle film, in my opinion,
mm.
and no one does it better than the master himself, George Romero. So this was light work, and this clearly had to be my number one.
There it is, man. And can I just say, and,
Nice.
and I just recently I've obviously seen this movie so many times since I was a little kid, but
Mhm.
I recently just rewatched it, like I think two weeks ago or so. Was talking about it with my good friend Gore, and this movie is still amazing, man. It really, really is. I mean, the stuff that George was able to do is just fantastic. And Kill, the first time I saw this, we were at grandma's, you know, and it's dark, it's late, kinda. You remember her old living room? It's kinda creepy if you're a kid, and
Yes.
this black and white movie's on, and I didn't know I didn't know what it was per se, what was going on, but I was just so scared, man. Even just little things like the minimalistic score in the movie, and yeah, man, shout out, man, shout out, no doubt.
Mhm.
Uh, Val saying, excellent pick. Night of the Living Dead, such a classic, iconic movie. It really is, man. It really is. It literally ushered in a subgenre, a, a,
Ugh.
bi- a big subgenre that is still going
Yes.
strong 50 years later. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Nanette saying, I haven't thought about it, but my number one is Night of the Comet. Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
Kay saying, they're coming to get you, Barbara. Yes. Yes. Shout out to Johnny. All right. So Coriander. Now this was an interesting situation here because
Ah,
Coriander, you know,
dude, come on. Why do you
let's.
always have to call me out and shit?
Oh,
I'm
please
not.
do. I
Seriously.
want to know.
I'm not. But you'll know why once I give mine. But what is your number one and why?
Okay. So, all right. You kind of mess it up for me by saying that. No. All right. It's Dawn of the Dead. The original. Yes.
There it is. There it is.
I love this movie. I love Tom Savini and whatever he does. Even if he wasn't happy with how the zombies looked, it never bothered me. I enjoy this movie. And yeah, yeah, this is my number one. So there you go.
Okay. All right. All right. Again, just a credit to the master, the godfather of the zombie movie, late great George Romero. Curse of Thorn has a list here: Dawn, Night, the remake with Tony Todd, Return of the Living Dead,
Nice.
Shaun of the Dead, and the remake of Dawn. All right. Mac knows what's up. He says Dawn is number one for me as well. All right.
Nice.
Very, very cool. All right. So let me just look. Let's get down to brass tacks here. I was alluding to it earlier, and I truly mean this, guys. My top three could have easily been, the George Romero movies, that original
Right?
trilogy, because I really think they're fantastic. But I made myself limit myself only to one so that I can have some variety in the list. Um, and it's a tough pick in the sense that first of all, I love all of his movies, but when we're talking about the trilogy specifically, I love all three of them for different reasons, similar reasons, but also they each have something that is very, very special to me. And I've literally spent like big pockets of time where I would watch one of those movies regularly. Like, maybe when I come home from work and I'm kind of chilling out, I'd pop in one of these movies just to have it on and just almost like as comfort food. That sounds crazy, but they're just such fun movies. Now, let me just say something before I say what my number one is. Kill, do you think you know which one I'm going to pick for number one?
Well, okay. I see.
And you don't have to say it, but do you just tell me what
I
you think?
think I do. I think I do.
Okay. All right. Coriander, do you think you know without saying what it is?
I think I do.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I'm just curious. You guys let me know if you're right when I say. Listen,
Okay.
guys, this is really difficult for real. But when I really sat down and thought about it, and this is just barely, so it's no disrespect to the other movies, but I gotta be real, bro. Number one is Dawn of the Dead.
I knew it.
Come
Oh,
on, man. I had to
okay. I
say
was wrong.
Dawn. What'd you
I
think it was
thought you
gonna
were gonna
be?
say day.
No, but
Or
if you
Diary,
had
Diary of the Dead.
no, not Diary. I mean, I think Diary is good, but it's not at the same level as the rest of the trilogy. But Coriander, do you get what I mean now? Because if you had said Day
Yes.
and Kill said Night and I said Dawn, I
That would
when
have
I
been something.
when I saw the list like that, I said, yeah, because George is the shit. Okay, I mean, seriously, Dawn of
Yeah.
the Dead, guys. When I first saw this movie and I was a kid, Kill, you remember back in the day when I was a kid and all my buddies, like the twins and all those guys, sometimes we'd get together and watch movies, we watch anime, whatever. When I first saw Dawn of the Dead, I it was just like a different world I was heading into. You know what I mean? Just everything that George was doing with this movie, and although Night has a special place in my heart, I think Dawn kind of just up the ante a little bit more story-wise. Like, it definitely got more complex, and I'm
Okay.
not saying that that's what makes it better, but, George was doing a lot of different things with this movie. There was action vibes, adventure vibes, horror vibes, you know, social commentary vibes, and when you have, your crew, these 4 people and they're all kind of different and they're trying to survive, and what does that mean? Like, this is literally, in my opinion, the blueprint, out of his films for what we would later see in things like The Walking Dead, or even things that we're seeing right now with like The Last of Us and stuff like that. It's a fantastic movie. Coriander said it, as far as Tom Savini always doing amazing things. He wasn't super happy with the end result. But again, you're talking about at a time when practical effects was just coming into his own. He was a
Yeah.
big part of that. And anyways, I
And
could keep
who's to
talking all
say
night.
really, what color a zombie's gonna be?
Well,
There's
that's
many
true too.
forms of decay. So
Yes. Yes, true enough. Waffles is in the chat. What's up, Waffles? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing good. Nanette, Nanette said, I thought you were gonna say Day of the Dead too. I'm gonna tell you what, man. Day is out of all of the zombie films I enjoy, especially the Romero ones. Day is the one that has moved up the list the most because Day is very, very unique, anyways.
Yeah.
And I love Day of the Dead, and I could have put it at number one, but I didn't. I just had, at the end of the day, I had to go with Dawn. Jamie making a good point, saying, am I the only one who put Land of the Dead in their list? I love Land of the Dead as well. John Leguizamo, great character in that film. And of course, anytime you can have you know this much bigger version of what this Land is what George wanted to do with Day, but he didn't have the budget. So but Land is a fantastic one as well. Yeah. Heath saying Dawn is the GOAT standard for zombie movies. I agree. I
yeah.
agree. It really, really is, man. I mean, I love that movie so much. Um, hell, I might have to watch it tonight. It's just so good. It really is. But yeah, so that's our number one guy. That's our list. It was a lot of fun going through it, a lot of great movies. Let me also just say for you guys in the chat, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. It helps to support the channel. We'd appreciate it. And we also have later on tonight, we're gonna, as usual, on our Sunday night hangouts, we're gonna be hanging out. So definitely come and hang out with us in another 45 minutes. We also have a huge channel announcement that we're going to make. Um, and so hopefully you guys will come by and hang out with us tonight. But we appreciate you hanging out with us for our top 5 zombie movies. It's always fun talking about zombie films, and there's some really great ones. Any
Yeah.
final thoughts, Kill?
George Romero is the GOAT.
He is, man. He is, man. How
Uh,
about you, Coriander?
um, no, not really. This was
Okay.
fun. There you
This was
go.
fun. This
Yeah.
was fun. A lot of great
Yep.
films, and for a lot
Yes.
of you guys, if you haven't seen some of these movies ever, or maybe not in a long time, which I'm sure that's the
Yeah.
case, these are some good ones, man. They really are. Every
Yeah.
every movie that was picked in these lists, when I saw Kill's list and Coriander's list, I was like, yeah, I co-sign on that. Some good stuff, man. So all right, guys. So we will catch you guys later. Check us back out at 7:15 and hang out with us. Big channel announcement. And also, if you are considering, please become a channel member. Hit the join button next to the subscribe button. Exclusive perks, exclusive hangouts, and so forth with us. So, anyways, we will catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Peace.
Chitch.